All right, let's get right into this one. Today, we're reconstructing a story about what was supposed to be the perfect winter escape. But, well, it turned into a terrifying encounter that left one witness so shaken he would literally never be the same.
Just picture this for a second. You're standing out in the freezing snow, you look up at the one place you're supposed to be safe, only to be met with that. Now, this single moment is the absolute climax of our story, but trust me, the dread, that started hours earlier.
Okay, so let's set the scene. You know how every really terrifying story seems to need a calm, peaceful beginning? Well, this one is no different. It all kicks off with what sounds like the perfect plan, a week-long getaway to a family cabin deep in the Canadian wilderness. So first things first, let's meet the people involved. On one hand, you've got Sean. He's our main guy, our credible witness. For him, these woods aren't some scary vacation spot. This is basically his backyard. He's spent countless nights out here, even camping alone. Then you have everyone else, his girlfriend Annie and their friends Claire and Michael. Their idea of outdoors is, a city park. And this difference between them, it is absolutely crucial to the story.
The plan itself, super simple. A whole week of snowmobiling, some ice fishing, and just getting away from it all. For Sean, this was like coming home. For his friends, though, this was a huge new adventure. What could possibly go wrong, right? It was supposed to be perfect.
Yeah, that perfect plan started falling apart pretty much the second they got there. It's late, the sun's long gone, it is pitch black out, and they hit their first roadblock right away. Okay, so get this. The distance from where they had to park the truck to the cabin, 200 meters. Doesn't sound like a lot, right? But it might as well have been a mile. Why? Because the driveway was just this steep, icy hill, completely buried in snow. There was no way, absolutely no way they were driving the truck up that.
So instead of kicking back by a warm fire, their trip kicks off with backbreaking work in the freezing dark. They had to haul every single thing, all the food, all their gear, their luggage, up this slippery, awful hill. And they had to do it trip after exhausting trip. You can just feel that sense of isolation and vulnerability setting in right from the get-go.
And just when you think it can't get any worse, the woods come alive. Sean and Michael are heading back for another load of gear, and suddenly the air is just filled with the sound of a wolf pack howling. Now, for Michael, the city kid, this is pure terror. He literally freezes in his tracks. But for Sean, the expert, it's just background noise. He's actually more annoyed by Michael's reaction than he is by the actual wolves.
So they finally managed to get everything inside, and they're starting to settle in. Things are finally calming down. But just as they do, the night is about to take a seriously terrifying turn. This right here, this is the moment the story pivots. They go from dealing with things they know, like wolves and snow, to confronting something they absolutely do not.
Michael, probably trying to prove he's not totally scared of the dark anymore, volunteers to go get more firewood from a woodshed just outside. And a second later, a scream just shatters the silence. And we're not talking a playful yell here. This was a blood-curdling, scared-for-your-life kind of scream.
Sean bolts outside, of course, and finds Michael looking like he's seen a ghost, just pointing into the darkness. And then he says it, 5 words, "I just saw a werewolf." And there it is, the first mention of something that, logically just shouldn't be real. And this, right here, creates this instant conflict. You have Michael, who is absolutely convinced he's saying, this was not a wolf, it wasn't a coyote, but then you have Sean, and his logical brain just kicks right in. He kind of laughs it off, trying to find a rational explanation. He's thinking, okay, this is just a scared city kid. His imagination is just running away with him.
But then, something happens that even Sean can't explain away. While he's trying to calm Michael down, this howl comes out of the woods, and it's just wrong. See, Sean knows what wolves sound like. He knows what coyotes sound like. This wasn't it. It was so much deeper, way more powerful. It sounded like it had a massive lung capacity, something almost unnatural. And this is the turning point, you guys. This is the moment when even the expert, the guy who knows these woods, is completely stumped.
So a little later that night, the fire in the wood stove starts to die down. They need more wood. And Sean, even though he's still unnerved by that weird howl, he tells himself to just stop being ridiculous, and he volunteers to go get the wood. This one decision, it leads him straight into the climax of this whole horrifying story.
The second he steps outside, he gets hit with this feeling he has never, ever felt in these woods before. It's this primal, suffocating dread, a feeling that tells him taking even one more step would be a huge mistake. Now, for a guy who grew up out here, who's totally at home in the wilderness, that feeling, that's more terrifying than any noise he could ever hear. So he just freezes, right there, scanning the dark tree line, looking for a threat. And that's when he catches something out of the corner of his eye. It's a tiny puff of steam in the cold air, like someone breathing out. But here's the thing. It's not coming from the woods in front of him. It's coming from up and to his right, from the roof of the cabin.
And he knows he shouldn't look. I mean, every single instinct in his body is screaming at him to just turn around and get back inside. But he can't. He has to know what's up there. So, reluctantly, he forces himself to slowly turn his head and lift his gaze, just dreading what he's about to see silhouetted against the moonlight.
And there it is. And it's not a wolf, it's not a bear, it's something impossible. It's massive, standing nearly 8 feet tall. It has the head of a wolf, kind of like a German shepherd, with these long, powerful arms. And its eyes are just glowing with this weird amber light. Michael wasn't lying. He wasn't crazy. It was real.
You can imagine Sean scrambles back inside in a total panic. And what comes next is just a long, terrifying night. The four of them huddled together, just waiting for the sun to come up, knowing that thing is right outside.
I mean, the timeline of this whole siege is just chilling. All night long, they just listen. They can hear it breathing right outside the door. They hear these low, deep snarls and growls. They're completely trapped, just waiting for that door to splinter and break down. And then, just as the first bit of dawn light starts to appear, everything goes silent. They don't hesitate for a second. They're not packing. The moment there's enough light to see, they throw their clothes on, burst out of that cabin, and they sprint. They sprint the entire 200 meters back to the truck without even daring to look back, leaving every single piece of their gear behind.
And this, right here, is the real takeaway, the lasting impact. This whole thing didn't just scare Sean, it broke something in him. It fundamentally changed who he was. Think about it. The guy who was more at home in the deep woods than in a city, the guy who would camp solo without a care in the world, he now refuses to go back, ever. He is terrified of the very same woods he once called his home.
Look, an account like this, it forces you to think about some pretty uncomfortable possibilities. Sean and his friends, they are 100% convinced of what they saw. And it just leaves all of us with this really haunting question. When we're miles away from the comfort of city lights, what truly lives out there, waiting in the dark?